feminism is a way of being in the world. I am Camila Pose. I am from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I have my academic studies in arts critic and also postgraduate studies in cultural management and policies. And I am currently working with independent artists, advising their career paths in the artistic field. And I also give classes and talks on art. And I work in the design of curatorial and editorial projects. I just discover myself as a feminist. That is something that has to be to do now with my work, because I discover myself in relation to others and on resistance to a cultural field that is still sexist. When I was starting an investigation about feminist discourses in the visual arts, I keep asking myself every time, okay, what it means to be a woman in the art world, no? And to what extent does that enunciation by our gender encourage that same disintegration that we are trying to conciliate. And now I think that something similar happens when we talk about Latin American art or Argentinian art, because that distinction replicates a logic of periphery and center that generally has a pejorative connotation, or at least a distinction that there is a dominant discourse, this kind of international art that would not be including that Latin American art in it. So we also construct and build our realities through language too. So for me, when I just arrived here and Centre Pompidou, I had this feeling of inquiring in my own process, from which I have become a feminist, and I need to write my own story, to start writing my own story, because there is something very specific in my country that has to do with this, feeling part of a collective voice that is also feminism. But in the street protests are the situations that has the greatest impact in the fight for justice. Those, for example, summoned by the feminist movement from Argentina, which is Ni Una Menos, which emerged in 2015 and later expanded to other regions, and who fights and gives visibility on rights and women's rights against violence. So for me, feeling part of that collective movement enhanced my perception of myself, and the way also that I want to do my work. So that's why recently I am prioritizing working with artists from feminist perspectives, and focusing on the places from which we speak. I think that a lot starts from home and from proxemics. So for me, it's a very important process to review my own story, and the same happens for me in relation to art. It's review the historiography through a feminist vision, retell the hers stories of art. I think that it is not, for example, in writing, it's not gender that writes, but the ideology behind it. So becoming a feminist or being a feminist requires this kind of process of meaning that seeks to rethink our place and the way we inhabit the world. I try to focus my energy equally in my work, in my word, and also in my enjoyment, because I feel like they all respond to the same flow. So that's why, like, for me it's important, like the process of writing and reviewing and coming back to live again some situations, and then like to also liberate them and be more connected with my present, like understanding that, for example, how and when that mechanism of alert and survival radar that we all women have like internalized, more or less like deconstructed, but when that has started in my life. So I think that is part of that reviewing. We are like reflecting on how like this gender social system and mechanism tends to expel or to silence some bodies. So like being again connected with our bodies, our power, our sexuality, it's like a way of being like also present with ourselves, like just for us, just for me. And for me it's like a way of saying like, well, remember your past or remember her story, but exist in the present.